Evening everyone. Decided to do a video today on my favourite tarot cards because I know everybody who reads tarot has their favourites and I do too. I'm certainly no exception. So I'd like to just talk about a few of them today. The first one that I want to mention is the Hermit. Um, the Hermit is a really important card for me because I think a lot of what he represents is kind of innate in my character. I'm an introvert. I mean, I'm very chatty and I'm very bubbly and sociable, but I mean, I'm an introvert emotionally and spiritually. I like to do things in my own way, in my own time. I won't work things through by talking them out with other people at the bar. I'll work things through by taking myself off and having my own time and working it out myself. I need my inner dialogue rather than my outer dialogue. So he speaks to me strongly. He's also the archetype of the sage, the wise man, the spiritual journeyer, and I like that element to him, and I would hope that I have at least a little bit of that in myself. Um, I like his warning element as well. When he comes up in spreads, he often asks querents to consider exactly how much they use their isolation for good and how much they use it for bad. You know, maybe perhaps they need to go back into society, maybe they need to accept other people's points of view or use them to utilise their own way forward. So I think it's kind of, there's a questioning there as well with the Hermit about whether or not isolation is always a good thing. The Three of Swords, this is probably my all-time favourite tarot card ever. In the Rider-Waite, the illustration is just so cool, kind of dramatic and romantic looking and a little bit over the top, but I love it. I just think it looks so powerful in a spread and it really draws a querent's eye to it in a spread. The main meaning for the Three of Swords, if you don't know, as far as I'm concerned anyway, and in what I've learned, is all about communication. It's about being able to be open about how you feel, being able to express how you feel eloquently, being unafraid, being assertive and bold with people in all matters of communication. And the warning element, which is really strong with this card, is that if communication is not there, laid in the foundations of the relationship, then the relationship is 10 times more likely to crumble under its own weight. So it's really a celebration of honesty, and it's a celebration of verbal truths and of telling it like it is. So yeah, great card. Love this card. I have a really good feeling whenever it comes up. I think it's got a harsh truth to it, but it's also got a lot of celebration in it. Celebration of love and celebration of the rational mind versus the urge towards romance and interconnectedness. Death, maybe this is predictable, or maybe some people might find it strange, but I think death is a really powerful card in the tarot deck. It talks about rebirth, it talks about being able to yield to changes that take place unexpectedly, things that happen without prediction, things that happen that can't be changed, and how we need to bend to the ebb and flow of life instead of trying to keep everything as it always was. So I think it's a message of letting go and of being fearless and of understanding that the only thing that is certain in life is change. I think it's just it's a card that has a lot of misconceptions to it, a lot of fears surrounding it. Even really proficient readers, when it comes up, when they are looking into something important for themselves, can feel a little bit uncomfortable with its presence. And you know, it might seem strange that even though a tarot reader would know the meaning inside and out and know that it's not about literal death, and I mean, more often than not, it's about the metaphorical need to be steadfast through all the changes of life and to weather the storms. Even though a proficient reader may know that and tell themselves that, it's still a pretty scary card. You know, I mean, it still suggests something that you need to yield to and bend to and be flexible, because if you're inflexible, then the change itself will crush you, will destroy you. You will be suffocated by your own fear, in a sense. So yeah, I love the death card. I really enjoy its presence in a spread. The Five of Cups is a card that I only recently became enamoured with. In the illustration, there is a guy or girl who is mourning, essentially. They're shrouded, they're kind of covering themselves, they're facing down, they're basically, they're mourning over these chalices here, which have fallen over and had the liquid spill from them into the ground. So this is a representation of something that's been destroyed, or something that's no longer there, or something that this figure can no longer rely on. Behind the figure are two cups which are still standing, perfectly intact, full of the water of emotion and receptivity and love. But because they're spending so much of their time in this shroud, kind of feeling bitter or upset about what didn't go right, they're not actually picking up on the beauty and the opportunity that's actually behind them, ready for them, waiting to be grasped by them. So it's kind of a card with a big message about perspective and about positivity, about balancing negativity and positivity, and balancing your sense of regret with your sense of the opportunity and potential in life, and how to actually grasp onto it. And also, you know, reminding yourself that you deserve to grasp onto it, in essence, that you deserve to be able to move forward. The Moon, another one. I would say this is my all-time second favourite card after the Three of Swords, actually. I love the Moon. I mean, the Moon has a massive, massive cerebral focus to it. It's all about the mind. It's about dreams. It's about the subconscious. It's about delusions, illusions, confusions, fractures in thinking. It's about intuition, learning to trust it, learning the difference between your gut instinct and your fastly held ideologies, which are not true. It goes into mental health territory, mental well-being territory. It focuses on the push and pull elements of different influences and how they may be unfairly influencing you, or how to balance out what you want and what you need adequately. It's about knowing yourself, and know thyself, you know, is one of the key things, certainly, to anyone who practices the craft or who is involved in ritual or in learning the old ways and mastering the old ways. Know thyself, I think, it is the central message of the Moon. And it also focuses on things like paranoia and insecurity, anything to do with the mental realm, and with being able to sum up what's in front of you and sum up what's happening in your own mind as a reaction to the physical realm and what's going on in the physical realm. So when it does show up for a querent, there are so many different avenues I can take the reading down, and so many things that can potentially be said. So I do love the Moon because it's just, there's so much meat on the bone with that card, you know, there's so much you can take from it. The Two of Swords, I love the illustration. I like the balance and the harmony it has to it. I like the fact that it is one of the biggest cards in tarot to represent and work with the theme of ambivalence and with indecision. And I think I've mentioned this before, that I think the Two of Swords has a theme of necessary waiting and kind of problem solving and untangling what's going on so that you can select the best pathway forwards. And I think that that message of waiting is something that a lot of querents need reassurance on, you know, when they feel that life is going nowhere, or that they are trying to make kind of a decision between what their heart wants and what their mind wants, that kind of thing. I think that occurs a lot with querents who come for a tarot reading, because essentially that feeling of being stuck or being unable or being confused is the reason they've requested a tarot reading in the first place. So often when it appears in a spread, it's something that a querent seeking a reading can really relate to, because it resonates with the present moment, you know, the moment of having a tarot reading where you're trying to untangle and to work through and to define your options and define your pathways. So really this is often a representation of the querent themselves, so it's something they can take a lot from. The World, I have a really, really strange pull to this card for reasons that I can't actually exactly explain. But whenever I see it come up, and it's definitely the card I feel the most bonded to in the major arcana, when it comes up, I feel that it's a representation of my self-belief. And I feel it's a representation of my self-belief at its strongest and most clarified moment, when it's not disturbed by anything, when it's unfettered by paranoia or insecurity or the feeling of not being good enough, or feelings of unworthiness, or feelings that I haven't done enough yet, or I haven't been enough yet, or seen enough yet. I think the world is my self-worth in its raw form. And when I see it, it kind of connects me to a part of myself which is just behind the ego, sat right at the front of the subconscious. It exists in that inner place between those two realms of my mind, whereby I know that I'm worth it, and I can do it, and I'm capable of it, and I deserve it. So it's a strong card. It's kind of like an affirmation card for me, really, and I feel a strong bond to it. I feel a strong bond to this figure in the middle, and the wisdom that she's attained, and the self-confidence that she feels. I like that, and when I'm lacking it, this card seems to kind of to draw me into it again and to make me feel connected to it again. And just as an aside, I wouldn't say this is a favourite card kind of in and of itself, but I really love it at the moment because I do some tarot work with my boyfriend. I give him various tasks to complete with the cards, to ask him maybe to describe how he feels or to describe what he's going through using the pictures in the cards. Sometimes we do blind draws and I just do ordinary readings for him. It's something I do for him every so often, which is kind of like a transpersonal technique to get him thinking in a different way. And I remember a few months ago I left him a little note when I went to work asking him to select one card that would represent accurately his relationship with me. And he picked the Four of Wands, which is excellent because it's basically this really harmonious, beautiful domestic scene of equilibrium and bliss and communication. And the card is all about being cooperative and understanding, compromising with each other in order to build something that is greater than anything that these two people could build on their own. And there is a feeling of homecoming and well-being and security and contentment and all that good stuff. So it really moved me when it came up, and I just thought it was lovely that that was the card that he picked. So that is kind of like a favourite for that reason. So yeah, those are my favourite tarot cards. Those are the ones that I really resonate with and love and feel describe something about me. Thank you for listening, and if you any of you want to let me know what your favourites are, then please go ahead.